All right, Julian, let's take a look at yours.
Thanks, Mike.
No problem.
Hey, good morning.
Morning. So I see the sun, so you can't complain too much.
I know.
Really. I think this is looking really good. I think this is actually looking like really good for week 8. And I think it's kind of looking really good overall. So a couple of notes, spoiler alert, on expressions. I think I wanted to look at something overall, but now I'm drawing a blank about what, I may have just liked it. I remember just sort of, oh yeah, now I remember.
A guest walked in.
So the only thing I wanted to say was this moment right here, when he's kind of waiting for the answer and he just sort of does this drift up, I would kill almost 90% of that movement and just kind of like almost sort of get him like almost just sort of like frozen waiting for her to answer. And that way, like, you can see any little eye dart, any little kind of anticipation. And that way, like, it'll just sort of give him like not like a total hold, but like something that feels like just minimal movement. So it's kind of like he's like really waiting for her answer, like deer in the headlights kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that way,
Yeah.
the smile will read that much better because it won't be kind of getting lost in like that overall up and down movement.
Cool. I like the idea. Yeah.
A guest walked in.
And then the other thing is this big jostle still feels pretty big to me. But part of why it feels so big is because it's just straight up. So it'd be kind of nice if somewhere in there was like a little bit of a shoulder, or like even just like a little bit of a head angle, like just a little something where it's just sort of more like a, you know, just sort of like just a little something that makes it feel like an adjust instead of just like a straight up and down.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind if it was toned down either, though. So maybe somewhere kind of a combination of both, I think, would probably be best.
Okay. Cool.
What took you so long? A guest walked in.
Cool. All right, and then some really annoying face notes. So the fun part about this is I'm kind of like, all right, I think I can make this better. And then I spent like 10 minutes on it. I'm like, I can barely make it better. So when I feel like that, that's always a really good sign, because I'm just like, all right, like I'm drawn to this because like, I'm like, okay, yeah, like the rings, I think I can make the rings and the brows a little bit better. Now I'm going to kind of like mess with it and see if there's anything else I can make better. I'm like, nah, not really. You know, like I really could just, basically what I was drawn to was sort of the double line basically in like the brow and the ring. And I try to avoid that just because it doesn't communicate anything extra to the audience. So I'd rather kind of just sort of use the color contrast of the upper lid and the brow to really kind of pop that expression a little bit more. So
yeah, so the ring actually coming out of the brow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to think about this, yeah.
And then just to sort of emphasize that even more, I softened the ring just a touch, the lower ring, and I brought it down just a little bit more. So this way you can just see a little bit more of the eye. But again, very, 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 very minor. And the mouth, I just tried to get just a hint more of that sort of curve to it. And I just got the lower lip a little less rolled in just to sort of differentiate them just a touch more. But again, like not a whole lot to do on this expression.
Nice.
So on this one, I felt like the lip sync for just, like I wasn't reading the contrast quite enough in the lips. Like you don't want them to be like, I just walked in, but you do want to get a little bit of that lip flare.
Yeah, he does it in the reference as well, yeah.
Yeah, so I just tried to sort of push it, and this is, I think, 120% what you need. Because I brought the jaw forward, I brought the lips together, and I kind of like removed the smile a bit. So this would be like more than you need, but this is probably, I think, this gives you enough to sort of kind of play with. Because sort of like as you're sort of splining, you might want to think like, all right, what do these three elements really read like a lip flare? It's the lips flaring, especially the lower lip, and it's also the jaw and the teeth sort of touching. So I kind of wanted to show you both, and then even just sort of dropping the corners a little bit as like that third element to sort of show you kind of what I think will sort of get a lip flare to read in sort of like the smiley lip sync. And then you can kind of decide which of those three you want to like incorporate into your sort of pose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the lip flare itself, the top lip, when you're smiling, is going to do what you don't think it would ever do, which is basically turn back into an M shape. And that's really weird, but that's what it would actually kind of do in like when you're going from kind of a smile, because if you're still smiling, you're basically pulling. And you're also sort of pushing with all the muscles sort of around there. So it actually sort of creates sort of like this kind of like crumpled up bag sort of feeling. So it's tough, but like I feel like when you start to get that, you don't have to do much to sort of make it not feel like a smile in the top lip, and you can still sort of keep the dimples of the cheeks, and he'll still feel kind of smiley. Like even if I just sort of brought this just a little bit more up, you know, he still feels smiley. I favored the top teeth because I want to get like the lower lip is more malleable than the top lip. So I wanted to roll the lower lip more. But if it was a more pure lip flare, you'd actually see more of the lower teeth than the top teeth, especially since you're looking down. But that started to make it feel less smiley. So I favored the top teeth. And then I just sort of, I jutted the jaw forward, you know, like just to sort of kind of give it an extra sort of bit of just to sort of give it a stronger sort of feeling that he's kind of saying that J. That would be the element that I would push the least, but it's one other thing that I kind of want you to think about.
Cool. And also the eyes.
Yeah, for me, like when I see the cheeks like this, it always kind of starts to not feel rayish. So like I always want to see, like basically the cheeks to me are this sort of line. And like when I feel like that line changes and it sort of gets too flat, it stops feeling like Ray. So I personally try to keep the cheeks sort of out of it, and I do more with the rings. Like the rings, it's okay to make flat, but the fleshy cheek area, if that feels flat, it starts to look like a shelf that's kind of like the eyes are resting on, and less like sort of just something that kind of just feels anatomical to me. You could definitely sort of bring the upper lid up a little bit. You know, something kind of like that if you wanted to get a little squintier.
What contour did you touch the last there?
That was the main lower ring. Okay. I went lower lid, the exterior lower ring, and then the main lower ring.
Cool.
Personally, though, like I like seeing the eyes a little bit more open, though. Like I think seeing the pupil a little bit more clearly, I think helps, and that'll sort of give you a little bit more kind of room to sort of grow into a squintier pose at the end.
Cool.
And then this one is the toughest, because this is the smile with the head looking down and the eyes looking down. And this is like degree of difficulty 5 for Ray. You know, it shouldn't be hard, but it is. So for me, kind of like the first thing that stands out is the top teeth. He starts to feel a little, just kind of.
Yeah, I think. Which frame is this?
I want to say 169.
Okay, yeah.
So it's the top teeth, and then it's also sort of the roundness of the smile. I was actually getting my car service yesterday, and there was a magazine with a woman who I didn't recognize, but she was doing a smile like this, and I should have just taken a picture. But like she was like really, like she had probably had some plastic surgery, so it was like really kind of not a smile that you would typically see. But the thing that kind of stood out to me was it really read like a smile while still sort of being like almost a little jokery. Yeah. But like the thing was, like, because she had work done, this probably looked great like 10 years ago. And what it really was this sort of like the break in the smile that really still made it feel like a smile, but everything else about it kind of made it feel creepy. So here, though, I'm kind of missing that break. Like it's kind of feeling like that banana shape, like that sort of round shape.
Yeah, I think maybe this is a transition I didn't really add detail. Yeah,
well, yeah, because I do feel it here.
Yeah. Because actually, I wasn't really aware of that moment, and I think I didn't really put care on that. But
cool. Well, I'm gonna pick on it anyway.
I appreciate your feedback in there.
But yeah, like basically, just exactly what you have in here, get in here any way that you can.
Cool.
I picked on the eyes too, and I know you didn't work on this frame, which you've said now. But for me, like the brows were just feeling a little flat, and I was missing that sort of like the ring here feels kind of boxy. The ring here feels, I want it to feel a little rounder. And again, kind of just less cheeky overall.
Nice.